Hey guys, it's Emma, and I know it has been about 5 months since I last uploaded a YouTube video, so I want to thank you guys for your patience. YouTube for me is new. I have my blog and I have my Instagram, so I'm really trying to upload as much as I can, so I want to say thank you guys, and thanks for all your emails. So the first video that I want to do is post step 1 thoughts. This is probably my most requested as of right now. I check my email and I get about 3 or 4 emails being like, what was your experience? So I thought I'd do a video on that to start. So I'm gonna split this up. I'm gonna talk about what I liked about the exam, what I thought was fair, and what I wish I did a little bit differently and what I didn't like about the exam, just to kind of give you guys like 2 takes on it, because overall it wasn't that beastly. It's doable, but it's definitely hard. So I'm gonna start off with the good. What I realized was it was pretty fair in the fact that it was a lot of variety in the exam. So if you're really bad at RESP or if you're really bad at micro, it's okay because it's going to be spaced out through all the subjects. So I thought that they did a really good job in that. Second was UWorld was probably the closest QBank in regards of looking like the exam, the exact same thing, and the content and how the questions were asked. So there were a lot of like secondary and tertiary questions. And to be honest, there were some quaternary questions that I had no idea that were asking. But I felt that the UWorld questions definitely mimicked how the exam was laid out physically, and also the kind of that secondary and tertiary thinking that UWorld kind of makes you do. So definitely stick with UWorld if you guys are doing that. So stick with that. The third thing is Pathoma did help. There was a lot of nitty gritty Pathoma-y type concepts that I thought really benefited me to reading Pathoma once through. I think it was the last week. I just read it really quickly and I listened to the videos, and that really helped kind of get those last minute nitty gritty details. Overall, the exam, it's hard to explain until you actually do it, because I was super nervous. As you guys know, I'm a terrible standardized test taker. I was nervous in the fact because I didn't know what to expect. You read all these forums, you read all these crazy things that people say that it's hard and you're gonna fail and you're gonna cry and you're gonna walk out leaving yourself in the room being like, what is going on? And you know what, those emotions are all so true. I mean, I felt like crying. I left being like, I have no idea how that went. But you know what, it was a doable exam. Overall, looking back, it wasn't terrible. If you study and kind of read, if you look back on my old video of how to study and stick with that, I felt very prepared. But you do always have that like lingering feeling of leaving and being like, oh man, I hope that went okay. The next thing I'm gonna do is just what I didn't like about it and what I thought I wish I could have done differently. The first thing is, don't rely too heavily on UWorld. And I think a lot of people just push it and push it and push it and push it, which is fine because like I said previously, it's probably the closest QBank to the actual real thing. But I feel like I relied on it a little bit too heavily. I did it 3 times and I did my incorrects once. And for me, that was a little bit too much. I felt like I could have switched to another QBank at that point, and probably after my second run through, I probably should have switched to Kaplan. I think RX was a little bit too simplified, but even just seeing questions in a different format, I think that's what would have helped me a little bit more. 3 times, incorrects once, that was probably a little bit too much, and it probably wasted a lot of time for me. So that's the one thing, just keep that in mind. There are some questions that are completely obscure. So do not worry if you read it and you have absolutely no idea what it's trying to ask you. It's okay. They're probably the test questions, so just move on. There is, I don't know how many, I think there's like 10% or 15%, I don't know the actual percentage of questions that are not even scored. It's just kind of like the testing questions just to kind of see, or experimental I should say, not test, because they're all test questions. But they're more experimental, so they don't even count towards your final grade. So if you see something that you have absolutely no idea about, don't worry about just skipping it. Move on, tag it if you have time to go back, and then just breathe and just don't worry, because they're all not like that. The NVME exams for me, the practice, were good only in the fact that they were great for practicing time. The content and the way that they're asked is not anything near the actual exam. So don't worry about the MBE exams if you get like a 204, 205, 206, you're not kind of seeing that progress up. Don't worry, just because the NVME exams are more for timing. So don't worry too much on the fact if you think you're getting things wrong. Review your wrong answers, that's fine, but use it more over like a simulated practice exam before the real thing. And for me, like personally overall, my score was low only because I'm my own worst critic. So I posted a couple things on Instagram saying like how my score is low, but for me, I always want to do the best that I possibly can. My NVME exams were pretty high in the fact that I was scoring in the range that I wanted to, but then again, seeing the actual exam, don't rely too heavily on those NVME. Like I said, use it as practice. So for me, I was expecting a pretty high score, and when I didn't get that, I felt like a failure. I really did, because I have a lot of you guys following, and I made Dean's List, and I made, you know, all these accolades. I'm not just saying that to boast, but just to be real with you guys, I was expecting a pretty good score, and I didn't get that, and it took me like a good 2 weeks to get over it, to the fact that I'm more than just a number. And I realize, definitely being in the hospital now in Atlanta Medical Center, is that no one really cares about your step 1 score. They want to see that you're great with patients, you're great with a team, you respect your attendings and you respect your residents, but at the end of the day, you're here for the right reasons. So don't worry if your score is too low. Don't worry if your NVME exams are low. Just go in there, pass it on the first attempt, whether it's a 192 or a 240, which is awesome if you get a 240. But just know that I'm with you guys, and if you have any questions at all, just email me. The exam is doable. It's terrifying in the fact that you don't know actually what it really is like, and it's a long day, but just know that you can do it. And if I can do it, the standardized test taker that I am, I know that you guys will be completely fine. So stick to your guns, stay confident, and just go with your gut. So I hope this helps, and I will be better at making videos, I promise. Steve's with me down here in Atlanta, so he is my tech guy, so we'll try and get a video up once a week. Hope this helps, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.